This week's episode of One of a Kind with RVD is presented by Get Blitzed. That's get-blitz.com. Get Blitzed Let's Aid is nano-infused THC syrup, and it is a premium cannabis-infused syrup formulated with nanotechnology for fast-acting effects. And you can get 15% off your order when you head to get-blitz.com and use promo code RVD. Get 15% off. Head to get-blitz.com, promo code RVD, 15% off. It's one of a kind, baby. Oh, yeah. What's up, gang? This is Dominic D'Angelo of OneTrueSportTV.com, SDScoops.com. I'm a dirt sheet writer. Hey, but it's one of a kind. One of a kind with RVD, and holy smokes, holy cats, we got Rob Van Dam. Rob, man, looking good, dude. Happy Sunday.
Happy
Sunday.
Right, happy Sunday, dude.
Yeah.
Feeling good. Hey, is that actually an expression? Holy cats. I don't know if I've ever.
I think I've maybe. I don't know. Maybe I just said.
Are you Jewish?
Instead.
Are you Jewish? Is it like KATZ or is it CATZ?
Like, no, not Jewish. I'm Catholic, but no, not KATZ. But have you ever been to Cat's Delicatessen in New York City?
Hasn't everybody?
Oh, okay. Sure. Yeah,
Sure.
I've been there once. It was great.
Yeah,
I liked it. Good. What is it? What's their specialty? They do. Somebody might know.
Bagels, right? Isn't it
well,
just...
they do like
what's
the name? Corned beef. Corned beef.
Oh.
I think their special thing is.
So, but whenever I see it, I always think, is that the one in Seinfeld? But I don't think it is, right? Or is it?
No, it's not the one in Seinfeld. Yeah, no. Pastrami. That's what Greg Jacobson said. It's pastrami.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's right there. But hey, we're live here on Rob Van Dam's YouTube and on One True Sport YouTube. Feel free to use the super chat, help the shows out. But we got our regular crew in here. We got some Greg Jacobson. We got Triple E in here. We got some more folks hanging on out. So feel free to join in on the conversation and ask a question to Rob. Rob, you've had a busy weekend. We had a little delay, and that's why we're doing it on Sunday here. You were on SmackDown, sir.
Yes, how about that? RVD just pops up wherever he feels like. That's part of being the whole effing show, you know?
That's it.
Yeah, it was an invite that happened not with a lot of notice at all. It was awesome to be there, you know. 25-year anniversary, I believe, for SmackDown. Was last night, or I'm sorry, was Friday night the first show on Raw? Is that?
It was the first show on USA Network. Yeah,
that's what I mean, on Raw. Okay, cool. That is the impression that I was under because I knew they were moving, and I thought that was the first one. So cool. Yeah, they had showed some legends in the crowd. Would have been cool to do anything. It's cool to be part of that, though. Katie came because, one, she loves WWE, and two, she loves RVD. So it's cool to have her by my side as well. Otherwise, I would have had my arm around like Teddy Long or something.
Right? Sheamus, you're over by Sheamus.
Player.
Come on, player. I'm going to book you with The Undertaker. No, it was cool. You guys looked like a good power couple right on the corner there. And it was neat to see because, well, so I heard through a mutual friend that you might be on there. And I was like, ooh, okay, I definitely got to tune in then. So I tuned in, and I was like, is he going to be Kevin Owens' mystery tag team partner? Because I knew there was the unknown guy. I was like, everybody thinks it's going to be Randy. Everybody thinks, I bet they're going to pull a red herring and say it's RVD because Kevin Owens likes RVD a lot. So that's what I thought the whole time. But it was cool to see you there.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, it was awesome, and everybody was really cool. It was cool to see everybody. Talked to Mr. Paul Heyman for quite a while. Got to hang out, and always good to see him. He's obviously one of my closer friends there. But, yeah, everybody, it was a good vibe. Good vibe.
Good vibe for sure, huh? And you said it was pretty short notice, huh? It seemed like, yeah, pretty like that week. Did they kind of give you a ring and say, like, hey, come on over?
It was a one-day notice to fly out.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Wednesday, sorry about the short notice. You would have to leave tomorrow. But, you know, are you available on Friday? And I was.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, did you get to interact with, like, Randy Orton or anybody? I saw you made a face at you when he was walking to the ring.
Yeah, and I saw a video too. I didn't know that they did. I just saw it a little while ago. I guess you didn't catch it yet either. But the three of them.
Oh, I saw it. Yep.
Oh, you did. Okay,
Yep.
yeah. What was that for? Was that for social media or?
Yeah, that was just on social media. So it was him, Kevin Owens, and Ricky, the Ricky from Seattle guy. Ricky Gibson is that wrestler.
He was in the trailer on another planet or something.
Something like that, yeah. He's like, you want to go hang out with him? That's what it was.
But no, I didn't see him in particularly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I saw him a couple of times, but he was way at the other end of the hallway or whatever. I didn't talk to him.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty neat to see. When I saw him like look over there, I was like, oh, he's looking at RVD.
Yeah.
How about Kevin Owens? Did you get to interact with him?
Kind of the same thing, you know. I mean, I gave him some knucks on the way out, you know, when we were leaving, and he was busy talking to somebody, and that's about it, you know. I mean, you know, Booker T,
he was there.
Ron Simmons and Teddy. We were all in one Legends dressing room, just us brothers. And brothers, and Vicky and the other one.
Yeah.
You didn't know? Yeah. So that's cool.
Nice.
RVD's good in any hood. We all know that.
That's right. You assimilate. You definitely assimilate.
But yeah. But I didn't stay in the room that much though. But I, you know, probably saw those guys more. Did some interviews for some. I don't know if it's going to be a DVD or if it's going to be. Actually, I think it might be a Netflix kind of release. I'm not really sure, but
oh, cool, yeah.
We all did. You know, we all took turns like going back and doing some interviews and stuff. So that was cool.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Yeah, I figured that. It seems like when they bring the legends in and stuff like that, they give them, hey, can you do some extra content that we're going to put later on the network or whatever it may be. You know?
Absolutely, smurfly. Yep.
Yes. How about Triple H? Did you get to fist bump him or anything?
I did. Yeah, he was really cool. In a good mood, and I got good vibes off him as well.
Yeah, I think watching the product week in and week out, he's just doing a really, really nice job with how it's been delivered and executed, and there's a lot of thought process that goes in. You can tell, and see, he's on the ball with stuff. It seems.
Yeah, you know, just the one match that I saw in the front row there of Randy, and the 6-man. Yep. Into a tag match, not a 6-man, but actually a 4-man with, let's call it a 5-man. Just the style and everything was so different than what I see on AEW, and that was it was in a way that's refreshing to make me realize how out of touch with product I am, because like I didn't realize, you know, like a lot of the things that people have been telling me, you know, are you know, like are in effect, and like in some ways I think that they are I don't want to say, I don't know, bringing it back maybe to more, you know, storytelling and simplifying the actual exhibition to be just doing the moves to further the story. That's the best way I can explain it, as opposed to every match having 6 tables broke and every wrestler diving out onto 6 guys. And there was just so much that was different. But again, that was just off of one match. But in my head, though, you know, with what I have to work with, I'm pretty impressed with the difference of them. And I'm definitely going to be looking at it more on TV from that perspective.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good litmus test, I think, because, yeah, to what you're saying, you nailed it, because what Triple H and WWE has been doing is kind of like simplifying everything from the in-ring action. Like, you're getting a lot of good action and a lot of great athleticism and stuff like that, but the primary focus is the storytelling and what weaves in and out of the match, and then later on what you get into the show too. It's and that's both on SmackDown and on Raw. It's like, I was telling one of my buddies that I do another show with, how I think this is the best summer WWE has had in a long time, like from a storytelling standpoint, because they've been doing a very nice job.
From houses too, right? I mean,
from house, yeah, from selling tickets and all that stuff, the live event stuff. And did you hear though that I think starting next year that they're going to reduce the live shows down to 200 a year instead? And
I didn't know that they were doing that many now, because I saw somewhere a quote where I believe it was Triple H that said that they weren't actually. Maybe I actually. I know where I got the quote from. I heard him say it. Now that I remember, saying to the wrestlers something about that they don't do nearly as much travel as they used to. Mm-hmm. And maybe he was talking about coming up 2025 if they're doing that now. I don't know. He wasn't talking to me, but I came into the arena one time and sat down for a few minutes and was trying to pay attention to a meeting, and then that was part of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I got out of that though was, we were doing 4 house shows every week and 2 TVs. Not everyone was on both TVs, but it seems like I always was. And then sometimes a pay-per-view too, and then sometimes international, which takes place of any days off. And anyway, it was a lot. It was really a lot, and that's one of the things that I've heard people say is that they are better at understanding if people want time off, which I don't know that would necessarily reflect the time on changing or not, but I don't know.
Yeah. No, because that has to be such a different kind of environment, because you are so used to that hectic, wild schedule where it's so like overwhelming, and now if it like they're cutting it down, I mean, that's a lot more favorable to the talent in certain ways. But it's also like, do you think that can be also detrimental in a certain way because you're not wrestling as much? Is there a balance to that?
Not unless they're only doing it like once every 3 weeks.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense then.
And if they're making most of their business off of TV and not at the actual live events, then, there's not as much incentive to even do them. I could see it maybe becoming just a television product if that's the way that the money flowed.
Yeah, exactly. What's up, gang? You guys want some 5-star cleaning on your grooming habits? Well, a wrestling podcast is not a wrestling podcast without a sponsor like Manscaped. I got the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, and dang, it is cool. Such a neat presentation here, and I am excited to try it. As you know, I'm Italian, little swarthy, have a lot of body hair going on, and something like this, the lawnmower will do perfect, will do wonders for me. Check this out. Look at all you get with that. You get the different blade heads, and you get the razor here and stuff like that, and then there's a lot of cool other toiletries and accessories in here as well to help you out. So you get your plugs and everything, but easy to travel with, everything like that. And lawnmower, not only can you get that, but you can get the dome shaver now too. I just turned it on. Look at that. It is ready to go right out of the box even. Look at this baby. Boom. So you can go to, got the light. Man, I'm learning everything about this. Got the light and everything. So check it out. What you can do is go to manscaped.com, use promo code RVD, and get 20% off plus free shipping. You can get the lawnmower. You can get the dome shaver. You can get, you can get the weed whacker, which I use for my nose. I got it up in my bathroom over there. So you got plenty that you can choose from here with Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com, use promo code RVD. Get 20% off and feel clean, look good, feel good, and look 5-star, baby. Did any young talent come and approach you or anything like that? Introduce themselves?
Yeah, sure. They did. Absolutely. That was very respectful in that manner as well. A lot of people thanking me for being there and telling me how much they appreciate me and putting over the podcast as well.
Oh, yeah. Really? They said some stuff?
Yeah. Some wrestlers did, and the fans sitting right behind me, which they're probably watching here. And I saw his comment on Twitter. He said, "Dude, I was right behind you at SmackDown. Thanks for being so cool." But that was one of the things they said behind me. Dude, I love your podcast, man. I really appreciate what you do. Something like that.
Dude, that's awesome.
Paraphrasing.
Yeah.
But yeah, hearing the wrestlers too, somebody specifically saying they appreciate me, kicking them some knowledge, and that's different than just saying I enjoy your podcast, because then I can come up with some kind of idea of what they get out of it, and that has to go on par with what I want people to get out of it. Otherwise, we're imbalanced. So it's always good to hear that. I just, like I said before, I don't look at myself as being any better than everybody else, and I get tired of hearing me giving advice. To me, it sounds, sometimes I just get tired of hearing myself talk like a know-it-all, and if I make like one mistake, like, I said in that interview that the Mayor LaGuardia Commission came out in 1943 and it was 44. Oh my God, someone's gonna look that up and say, look at him spitting out bullshit. Like I torture myself in my head in ways that you wouldn't even know about, but I can't. That's not a part of me that I try to share. What you get on the podcast is like kind of like an in between. I mean, obviously I got an image I still got to uphold. So, but I appreciate the fact that as open and sharing as I am, that it connects me to more people that can relate, and then can hopefully learn from some of my experience, or my perspective can at least in some way, help them out. So that's always awesome.
Well, the neat thing too about it is that, like, if wrestlers are giving you that type of feedback, they're getting double kind of advice, because you're helping them out from a wrestling perspective in certain ways a lot of the time when you talk, but then they get the added element of the RVDology and how you view things from a different perspective. It's just like, hey, I'm getting a double bonus here kind of thing. So that's kind of
if they all understand my wrestling is porn rant, if you want to call it that, it will change the business. And that's like one of the things that bothers me so much. And when I say they're not committed, that's what I mean, is that, they just stopping what they're doing. Everybody sees it, just like seeing the shadow of the director trying to come in on a If they think of it that way, then hopefully they can stay committed the whole time. Because when I got trained by Sabu, like way back in 89, 90, something that made us way better than a lot of the other local green independent wrestlers from other camps, or whatever you want to call it. He said, everyone, like, they just stopped. Like he said, like, he goes, and he came at me, and choked me, and I think I grabbed his wrist or something, and he said, like, this was the day of the job or two. Most of it would just go, and maybe not even grab the wrist, but Sabu was like, try to get out, like wiggle your elbows around. That's that's where you can still make movement, and try to push him back or whatever. Don't just stay there and let him choke you. And that's the way that I got trained, and that's what sunk in. And he was like, always, the whole time, from when you walk out, and she obviously said this too, from when you walk out through the curtain till when you walk back, in your mind, you gotta imagine that all eyes are on you. Even if you're in a battle royal or whatever, you got to be consistent. If you want to be one of the best, but that's what he said. He didn't say if you want to be the best. He said you got to do that, and I agree with him. But I don't like telling people you got to do that. But if you don't, if you don't want to annoy me and if you want to stand out, that's one of the top 2 or 3 things in my mind that would change the business. It seems to be like they think, okay, I'm in the corner, no one's looking at me. That kind of mentality.
Yeah, no, it's like a completely, when you mentioned that and made that analogy of it all, it does make a lot of sense, because
it's going to be the title of my book.
Wrestling is porn.
Yeah.
Wrestling. You're like leaning on the words on the front of the cover.
Yeah, big letters.
It's pretty funny. But no, I think that's great stuff. That's awesome. Yeah, it was neat to see you there. A lot of the fans were definitely happy to see you guys, and you know, Teddy
It was
Long.
really loud. Yeah, it was really loud. They were chanting RVD like as soon as I was walking like towards my seat, you know, and it was like dark, but everybody saw anyway. And looking back at it with the bigger picture now, it seems like everybody had more of an idea of what to expect than I did, because you know, like as soon as the camera guy points at me, like everyone already knew. They didn't have to wait. You know, I thought they were going to have to wait until they saw me up on the screen.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look, it's RVD. But they were already all waiting for the camera guy to give his cue. And it's just like, you know, I was soaking in like all the love and stuff. And, you know, having to do it again, you know, I would have maybe found out how long is the camera going to be on me, or, you know, but one, I'm not one to ask questions. I'm always want to just play off of the moment, and that moment, you know, felt right. But also I did try to ask him, but it came out as in like, how long will I have? And I knew he meant before he comes on, and I couldn't fix that in time because I only had like 2 seconds. So I was like, never mind. Boom. Yeah, it was cool. It was awesome. You know, obviously it was loud, but obviously people are still behind me. So that's awesome. You know, lots of love. And what a huge crowd filled all the way up to the ceiling. So I really felt a lot of energy in there. It's been a minute since I felt that much energy.
How about that, huh? Man.
Yeah.
Well, it was pretty neat because I remember Philadelphia during the Hall of Fame, you and Katie came out, and even I think before even the cameras were rolling, the crowd was already going RVD, or because they would see you down there. Just, yeah, pretty nice.
I think that fans understand the production more now, pay more attention to that, and something else that that I think really stood out from my experience was, you know, not being around those shows that much, and like watching it weekly with a bunch of dudes eating chips and, you know, whatever it is they do. Just getting a lot of feedback from social media or whatever it's not only is it toxic, but it's also deceiving, because everybody there, they were there to have fun. Right. It was so obvious. It was, again, I'm going to use the word refreshing. It was so refreshing because everyone was, they were all right on cue, as if they were part of the show throughout the whole thing. That's how I saw them reacting to the spots, in a way that was fun, and, you know, not like the criticism and the insults and the stuff that you can read online, and everyone's a critic and everyone thinks they would be better at running a multi-million-dollar company, you know. That was a big, strong takeaway too. It was like, wow, everyone here is just happy. They're loving the show. They're so glad to be here, and I get it. It's a very fun vibe.
It's so funny you say that. Seriously, just this morning, so I know another writer. He took his mom to the TNA show this past weekend. Victory Road, it was called. So it was in San Antonio or Houston or something like that. But either way, he was saying, he went and commented on it. He's like, dude, it is such a different vibe when you go to a show live in comparison to being online. He said that exact same thing. And like, I was like, he's so right, because everybody's there to have fun. And it's not, you're not like, you don't get the toxic people that are just trolling or saying stuff to say stuff, and they don't have a picture of themselves or whatever. People are there for the reason to have fun and enjoy themselves. And that's neat that, you know, when you go to a live wrestling show, it's a good time.
Right. Yep. So that's definitely also, to put in perspective, all those thousands and thousands of people, they're not on Twitter afterwards leaving comments and stuff, you know, like the actual smart fans, if you want to use that word, and I think that'll translate to, you know, what I'm talking about, people that think they know everything that's going on and in the real life of people and all that. those people are really a smaller percentage of the mainstream. And sometimes you need a reminder of that too.
Absolutely. Because, yeah, if you're so many of our eyes, and especially if you're a celebrity and stuff like that, a lot of the eyes are on social media, and that's how you get some feedback and stuff like that. But it's also just a small microcosm of people in general. Like, I think Twitter, I once heard, is like only like 10% of the population or something, if that. And
I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and would that be a national population or?
That's a good question. I'm not sure about that. I want to say I would believe it's just national, because it would be. I would think it would be much, much smaller if it was the world, right? Like, I couldn't imagine that.
Yeah, I'm with you
I would
there.
think it would be there. Yeah.
And I think I would see a lot more Hebrew messages and stuff like that on my feed. Sometimes there's Japanese on there.
Yeah, you get a lot of different. Yeah.
But I think I'd have a lot more. No, yeah. I mean, we probably said enough about that. But it's like sometimes you get like that's your world. It's like everyone on the internet already knows, But that still doesn't mean that everybody in the real wrestling world even has a clue. And sometimes it's easy to lose perspective of that. Like sometimes the administration in WWE would seem like they were too busy to even be keeping up with some of the other indie shows or whatever at one time, right? And I kind of thought like, how can that be? These guys are like the most over guys on the indie scene. Like they got to be studying. That was my mindset at the time, and I can't even remember the exact situation, but I thought at the time like that's probably bullshit. But then after being in that machine, I see how it would be hard sometimes to for a lot of stuff to penetrate through that machine. You really would have to send feelers out and be an octopus to extend your tentacles in every direction outside of the bubble that you have to be in order to keep everything running and be successful.
Right. From the perspective of if you're running a company like WWE or AEW or something like that, if you get, I mean, obviously they use, I think, obviously social media becomes a factor in maybe getting some feedback. How would you take it if you were running a company? Would you heed a lot of what you hear on social media if that's like a big outpour? Like say somebody wants a talent, like Ricky from Seattle, that wrestler, he's getting a lot of traction after SmackDown, after he showed up. Would you be like, hey, we should maybe use him again? Like just specifically off of social media. I'm not saying, would that be something you would consider if you run a company? Does that make sense?
Definitely would be worth considering for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The choice I would make on it, I don't know, I can't say, but it would be, everything's worth considering. And, a company that big, you should have, and I think they do have like a whole, matter of fact, I know, well, he might work for TKO, but I'm sure they have a social media marketing team anyway, and their job should be part of that, and why not, raise water everywhere? A high tide raises all ships. So, yeah, even if it's something that's not that important, you don't want to focus on that, it's still something to consider, and maybe take it into account and maybe consider the voting power of that perspective limited if that's what you think it is, but it definitely has some value.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's something you take from and see what else, the different analytics from what people are watching on TV or what you do hear from live events or anything like that. It all comes in the combination. And WWE's got such a huge company that they would probably be doing that anyways. Before I move on from SmackDown, did you happen to see Andrade did a split-legged moonsault?
Nah, I missed it. I didn't know that. No.
All right. I saw that and I was like, I wonder if he was doing that because RVD was sitting there, but I don't think you were sitting there at the time.
Does he not usually do that though?
I don't know. I haven't watched his matches steady enough to see if that's a common thing he does, but I was like, maybe it stand out that night. I know that much.
Maybe they can tell us in the comments.
Yeah. Does Andrade usually do that, guys? Let us know if he does usually do a split-legged moonsault. This episode is sponsored by Blue Chew. Let's talk about sex, guys. Remember the days when you were always ready to go? Now you can increase your performance and get the extra confidence in bed. Listen up, BlueChew.com. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. The process is simple. Sign up at bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you receive prescription within days. The best part, it's all done online, so no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in the line at the pharmacy. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped direct to your door in a discreet package. They always say first impressions are important. What about lasting impressions? Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. Discover your options at bluechew.com. Chew it and do it. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code RVD at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's bluechew.com, promo code RVD to receive your first month free. Visit Blue Chew for more details and important safety information. And we, RVD and I, thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. So
might have been a tribute.
Yeah, it might have been a little hat tip to the RVD there. So guys, yeah, feel free to ask a question. Our super chats are down currently, but feel free to use the questions, and I'll keep my eyes peeled on them. So we got a couple here. Frankie from last week, he asked some good ones last week. Let's see what he's got this week. Which is more so about ECW's greatness, Paul's genius or letting guys be themselves? What was the journey? Okay, and the second question, what was the journey from WCW to All Japan? Let's start with the first one, Rob. Which is more so about ECW's greatness, Paul's genius or letting guys be themselves?
I think it was, I would say, Paul's genius, because a lot of us didn't know what our strengths and weaknesses were without him pointing that out to us. It wasn't like it's often reputed as being where everyone just had a free-for-all to do whatever they wanted, because not only you got to have some kind of structure, but I mean, not everyone is going to be that talented. And I mean, you know, you'd have people saying, well, hey, I want to be on for 45 minutes. How come Steve Carino and Tommy Dreamer get to be on for 45 minutes and I'm only on for 15? That's not fair. And, you know, but Paul would help us realize our strengths and our weaknesses. He would guide us. He was good at showcasing that and bringing the best out of all of us. So it was the captain leading the ship for sure.
And the thing was like Paul was so good at knowing, you know, letting you guys be yourselves in a lot of ways and knowing where the strengths of you guys came into play and how to prop that up in a little bit more and make it edgy too in the same turn of it. So good stuff. Good question.
Paul has also had some clients that probably the worst thing he could do is let them be themselves, and they kind of need to be tamed. And I'm going to leave that at that, but he's good at that too, and not letting them be themselves.
It's a good point too, Rob. And then his second question was, what was the journey from WCW to All Japan like?
So I got the booking to go to All Japan before I got the job with WCW. So I started with WCW in December, and my first trip for All Japan was going to be in February of '93. And I knew that it might be an issue, but I threw it out there on the table when I got hired by Bill Watts. WCW worked with Japan, but their partner was New Japan, which was Inoki. All Japan was a giant Baba-san, and they were competition. And so I knew it might be an issue. Bill Watts said, you're already obligated. You can finish out any of your obligations, but then that's it. You know, don't take any other bookings. So already, even way back then at 22, 23 years old, I'm jumping territorial walls in a way that I would do pretty much throughout my whole career, and that's why I became known as Mr. Monday Night for that same reason. Bill Watts never said anything about me going to New Japan, but I came back. It was a 15-day tour in February of '93, and January, February, March, April. By May, I was done with WCW, and I quit. So I don't know. I don't know if I would have went for New Japan eventually, which I have now, but it was after I became a much bigger star more recently. And at the time, I knew that I got over with Giant Baba, and I could go back there and wrestle for way more money than I was making at WCW. That was one of the reasons that I quit with WCW. It was all about the money. One of the reasons was because I was getting paid a lot more from All Japan, and also because I was getting a lot more just on the independent scene when I could control my merchandise and all kinds of stuff. So it was all money. And also at the end there, when Ole Anderson took over, they weren't doing anything with me except for beating me up. So boom, thanks. See you later. Bye-bye. And that was it. When I did my first tour in All Japan, I knew I would be coming back and doing WCW because I had signed a contract with them about 2 months before the actual All Japan date. But it was Danny Crockett specifically that would pull me aside and say, "Hey, kid," this is how he said it. He said, "Kid, if you ever bring this up, I'm going to totally deny it. But you have a job here. If you want it, you can call your shots. Baba loves you." He told me that on the first tour, like when we were in Osaka. Yeah. And I'm like, man, he would deny it? Like, you wouldn't back me up, bro?
You wouldn't say that?
But also, he helped. He had a lot to do with helping me feel confident and also understand the situation there, because I didn't know that, And then he was always saying, "Oh, I got to put you with my cousin." He was talking about Mike Lazansky. He always wanted to put us together. Good-looking kid, just like you. That's my French Canadian, my accent. Anyway, he eventually did do that, and we tagged a couple times, but not for most of my All Japan career, though. And then I had that awesome match with Phil LaFont, Danny Crockett, same guy, in Tokyo with the Budokan. That was my first singles match in the Budokan, and I'd been touring with All Japan for 2 or 3 years at that point. If it's 95, then I guess, well, either way, because it was, anyway, 2 or 3 years at that point. And that was a really big pivotal point for me. That was like one of those matches that really helped elevate me. I learned a lot working with him, like in the ring, learning, like he the way that he would pause or react, or his timing, the way that he was connected to the crowd. Like, I don't remember paying enough attention to the crowd before that, but the way we had that match, and then the way that he made everything mean something, and I understood that, So he gave me some gifts that I carried on for the rest of my career.
How often did you work with Danny? Was that like overseas there? Was that
quite a bit? But it was usually tag matches. Him and Doug Furness were the tag team, and so a lot of times it would be me and whoever, me and Michael Zansky did it. Me and Bobby Bradley did it. So a lot of matches would be 6-man tag matches. It always seemed really random. Like throughout my whole time with All Japan, it was never like about storylines. It was all more about the athleticism and the matches, and then that built the storylines, because, if you saw Kobashi and Masawa really tear it up fuck yeah, you're going to watch the rematch. You know, it was about that. There wasn't like skits and stuff. Sometimes they would film the post celebration when they're pouring champagne over their head in the back, and they might scream a couple things at the camera. That was about it. You know, the whole company wasn't about that. That's another reason I had no experience talking on camera until I got to ECW.
Wow, yeah, that's
a little experience. I don't want to knock NWC and South Atlantic and IWF but you know what I mean though. I wasn't comfortable with it.
Yeah. Okay, this is gonna sound like a novice dumb question, but when you were when you were making good money in All Japan, what really prompted you then to just go to ECW, or what prompted you to not stick with All Japan?
Well, so I didn't. I was able to do both. I didn't leave All Japan for ECW.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I was able to do both. In fact, the reason that I actually turned Paul down the first time that he called, and I didn't like the offer that he threw out on the table, and I knew that I was making a lot of money for All Japan, and so he was. I felt like he was only calling me as a favor to Sabu, because Sabu kept saying, and Sabu was there already, and I'm wrestling for All Japan and doing some indies. So this was kind of just like another indie, except these guys have TV. They're actually doing something, you know, but it wasn't a lot different than if I would have worked for Joe Savoldi's IWCA or whatever, you know, where except it's TV.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I didn't know that much about it until Sabu was already there trying to tell me about it. And he, you know, he'd been working with the area and the tri-state wrestling maybe since '93. Like he was always talking about how things are different there and how he was getting over there. I remember talking about Kevin Sullivan and that Joel Goodhart, I believe is the guy's name.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah. And he was always talking about bringing me up there. And I think it was like '93, because I remember first I was so green hearing him talk about this, you know, this place that's really cool to go work for. And anyway, in '95, he started, Sabu started saying, hey, did Paul call you this week? And I said, Paul who? Paul Heyman. He didn't call you? No, he didn't call me. Damn it. He said he was going to call you. And he'd go, hold on, I'll call you back. And he'd hang up. And that would happen like every few weeks. And, you know, I told him to call you. He needs to bring you in. You know, you'll get over big here. And he just needs to see you. Damn it. Let me see. He said he was going to call you. And anyway, I really didn't care if he called or not. Yeah. And then when he did call, I don't know why. I mean, you know, it seems like I would have been excited to be on TV and stuff, but I just remember it was like, well, if he calls, it calls. If not, you know, then he doesn't. And then, and Baba was telling me at the same time to choose my calendar. That's the best way to put it. You know, they did at least 5 tours. I think they did more than that. I can't remember how many tours a year All Japan would do, but he said for me at this point, because he was good at, you know, giving me a raise. He gave me another raise. Must have been 3 raises unless one was a big jump up. But he eventually, you know, sometime in there he said, you know, you come back to me with the dates that you want to work. You know, we'd like to have you over here. But they knew that I didn't love being in Japan. You know, it was hard for me being young and green and stupid. You know, I didn't like seafood, and it was just really long tours. And like I've said in some of my stories, I was such an introvert and so shy that I didn't like really even fit in on the bus load of all these big monsters that have these war stories, you know, about traveling around the world and having each other's backs and bars and shit like that. If you haven't heard, I got comfortable finally when I got to hook up with the hoods, because they would have hash, and that was like my escape. I would smoke hash, which is a product of marijuana, let's say. It's in that family. And anyway, Doc, who was Steve Williams, actually thought that I was, and I don't mean to say this, so let's say slow. I don't want to offend anybody, but he thought that I was a little bit retarded, I think, or autistic, something to that extent, because we were all in the room and I wasn't really talking much. And they're like, remember that time in Russia when those mobsters broke in and we had to, I'm just like, I was in the high school band last year. That's what I felt like. And, I didn't really enjoy it. I loved the matches. I loved getting over. I loved the money. But that was it. I was, didn't eat when I was over there for the first several years. And anyway, they said, you tell us when you want to come over, when you want to be booked, because they had regular tours every year. There's like a 15-day tour in February. So I always loved that. It was the shortest one. Mm-hmm. The longest one was in November. That was the tag team tournament. That was 5 weeks. And so, they did regularly. And anyway, Paul wanted me to go up there and work with Mikey Ripwreck and get Mikey over. And so I was like, no, because of the money as well. But also, I'm not going to come in there and put this guy over. What are you talking about? And anyway, Sabu's like, did he call? I'm like, yeah, he called. I told him, fuck off, He's like, what? He goes, you wanted to do what? Oh, damn it. He'll call. I promise. He's going to call you next week. Whatever. And then when Paul ended up calling back and then brought me in under different terms. And I still wrestled for All Japan, though. So I started in January of 96 with ECW, but I still wrestled for All Japan until 99 when Giant Baba passed away. And I've often said 97 myself in interviews, but I've realized and fixed that in my mind. It was actually 99 when he passed away. And then I did one tour for Mrs. Baba, which a lot of the boys didn't get along with Mrs. Baba. That's why they left with Misawa and started Noah, because they were there out of respect for Mr. Baba. When he passed away, they didn't get along with Mrs. Baba, so they ran Noah to compete against, and it was Misawa was the head of it, and a bunch of guys left with him. And that's the history of Noah and All Japan and RVD.
Wow, how about that? Man. Okay, so that makes sense. So once you started making more good money and they were getting you over in ECW, you were like, okay, I can kind of taper a little bit of my dates with All Japan and focus more. So plus the aspect of you not loving being in Japan all the time was another added element for you to just kind of be like, hey, I'm committing more to ECW now.
And ECW was fine with me doing trips to Japan too. They didn't care. Cool. Sometimes I would miss some dates, and they weren't gonna try to compete with it.
Yeah. Absence makes the heart grow fonder too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's something that we always thought was the more exposure you get, the more you help the whole product, right?
Yeah, right. Uh-huh.
That's how we always felt. Unless you do something that downgrades it.
Right. Yeah, RVD's worldwide. You're worldwide, man. How validating did that feel, too, when Danny Crockett told you that Baba would love to use you anytime you wanted to? Did that feel pretty good, being a young star and being like, holy shit, but like, if Baba likes me, I know I'm doing something right.
Yeah, it really did. I got Danny's number like a year or two ago from somebody, and I don't know if I've called him. I haven't talked to him. If I did call him, I didn't get an answer, but I don't even think I've called yet. And I was just thinking about that earlier today, synchronicity, thinking, about actually calling him. And it'd be good to talk to him because he probably doesn't know. He probably doesn't know that I give a shit. He helped me out a lot. And it wasn't like he and I were like best friends or anything, you know what I mean? Like he always treated me like I was a kid and like he was a veteran. But he just really did a lot. He was always entertaining too. He liked. He made me laugh a lot too. Like some of the jokes that he's done in the dressing room that I've heard. I heard Pat Patterson say this same joke. The gender changed, but this was. Oh my God! I couldn't sleep last night. Oh, Danny. I had this chick banging on my door all night, wouldn't stop. Bang, 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 bang. I'm trying to go to sleep. Bang, 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 bang. Finally, I got up. I let her out. Okay. Another one. He used to always when he would like start to get dressed in the dressing room, he drops his shorts down when he's sitting there and he go, "Oh, okay, guys, who's shit in my drawers?" And what really made me laugh, and I took this from him like too much, you know, it was like something I ran with too much because I was just young and stupid. And some people I was with didn't appreciate it at all. But when we'd be at a restaurant, usually they wouldn't speak any English, you know, depending on where you're at. So we're in a diner and the waitress comes over. That's just like, "Oh, yosemite, oh, onigashimasu," you know, and then Phil would like point at the menu, Danny, he'd be like, "Yes, did you douche today? Did you douche today? Oh, I wasn't sure because of the smell." Okay. You know, and they cocked their head like a dog. Like,
yeah, what are you saying? I don't know what you're saying.
Had me rolling as a fucking, you know, 22-year-old.
22-year-old, yeah.
Yeah, so, but yeah, he taught me a lot too, though, about wrestling, and he was really, really, really good. You know, it was like, he taught me that it wasn't America that had the best wrestlers. It was just, they had the most fame with what was then, you know, like the WWF. And it was like they had the characters that they were pushing back then. Danny used to talk about, "You see this? You see what Matt Bourne's doing? He's a clown. Doink the clown now." He says, "Oh my God, when someone asks me what I do now, I tell them I'm a car salesman."
That's so, oh man.
Abby Abdul the Butcher used to call him the Master.
The Master.
What are you doing today, Master? Or no, I think the Master, Professor. I don't know. I guess I'm not really sure about that now that I think about it. I think it was the Master, but something that implied that he was the best at what he does, because his matches were always like really entertaining, and when he felt like being funny out in the ring and making the crowd laugh and stuff, he would. But he obviously could go real hard, and damn, man, they don't make him like that anymore.
Man, you're telling. Listen, when you're talking about Danny Crawford, I first heard about him when I was reading either Bret Hart's biography or another book about Calgary wrestling. And I'm gonna say this. I don't know if it's right or not, but I think he was in the first ever ladder match in Stampede. I think he was.
I don't know about that.
Pretty neat. But I know he was kind of like, I think he was, if I remember correctly, kind of like their Intercontinental Champion and just really, really good at, you know, obviously, as you're saying. So, yeah, he had a good look too. I liked his look too. Cool stuff. Yeah, that's great stuff. Oh man, yeah, I love hearing about those guys that don't really get a lot of credit, but they definitely.
Right. Yeah, it was crazy to see like these. I love the style. Everything I said about I didn't like about being in Japan, but I did love the wrestling style.
Yeah.
That was, you know, the business. You know, I liked the money. I liked the crowds. I liked the wrestling style. I went for several years until I finally learned to appreciate everything about it. You know what I mean? Like, it was like eventually it was Sabu when our paths crossed in Japan. He taught me that it was okay to spend a little money to go and eat really good. And then after that, we ate yakiniku all the time. And all of a sudden, Japanese girls were super hot to me. And for some reason, when I was 22, I was just so young and stupid. I was like, oh my God, they all look the same. Like, where's some blonde hair, some red hair, or something? And it was just, there was a lot of fishiness that just turned me off about Japan. But I love the style always.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that.
That's awesome. On my bucket list to go sometime. Let's see. Oh, Maddie just chimes in. How effing cool was it seeing RVD at SmackDown? It was effing cool, Maddie.
Hey.
Effing cool. You're effing cool, Maddie.
Awesome.
He's a huge fan, Maddie is. So shout out to him. We had another super chat. Jim D gave us $10. Thank you, Jim. If you have a question, you can ask it. Ask away, man. I'll keep my peepers peeled here. We have some interesting ones this week, though, Rob. I'll hit a couple of them here. Here's a good one. Let's see if I can find it here. Oh, here it is. The Ragu Overlord. Oh, how about that? The Ragu Overlord. I'm trying to learn how to do a backflip. Any advice?
Sure. I would say practice on a diving board And it's all about, all you got to do is make it halfway, and then you can see where to put your feet. That's what makes a backflip so much easier than a front flip, because you make it halfway and your eyes, you can't actually see the ground. Then all you got to do is put your feet down. When you do a front flip, it's blind. You tuck, and then when you let out, and if your timing's off and you let go a little too late, you end up on your stomach. If you let go a little too early, you might land on your heels and then fall on your ass. And it really has to do with just experience. It's not as easy as a backflip. A backflip, get halfway, and then you're like, oh, cool, I can just set my feet down. And I would say practice on the diving board. And then, if you got a ring, do it in the ring. If you have a trampoline, that's cool too. Something safe like that.
Yeah, good advice, man. That's interesting. So doing like a 450 splash is tougher than doing a moonsault?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Interesting. You can tell I'm athletic. Let's see here.
Yeah, it's just blind. It's like when you open up, you can't like see down ahead of your feet.
Yeah.
When you're flipping forward, but you totally see it like early on doing a backflip. Like halfway through, you're like, I already got this. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, how about that? All right. Peggy Hoster. Thank you, Peggy. My now so-called friend stole some of my first package I purchased from RVD, and 8 months later she gave it back, and she didn't even use any of it. Package I purchased from RVD. What the heck? How about that?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's some CBD cream or something.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Help a lot of people with
let's see here. King Knowles 22112. He just a comment. Rob, I've been showing my friend wrestling, and he says you're one of his faves. So there you go.
Awesome. Very cool. Tell him I appreciate it. I'll see him in Des Moines next week.
That's right. Here, let's pop that up real quick. Boom, guys. He's got a new date. If you're in Iowa, go to Des Moines, the Iowa Event Center, Sunday, September 22nd, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Rob Van Dam, the 2021 WWE Hall of Famer, will be in attendance. You can get a picture, an autograph. You can scan that QR code and go right to it and get your tickets there. Go see RVD, September 22nd.
1 week from today, Mr. Domino.
How's about that? Man, 7 days. You guys got 7 days. Check it out. While we're plugging stuff, I'll give a little shout out to the Manscaped. I got it right here. This is the, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on it? It's the 5.0 lawnmower. That's what it is. 5.0 Ultra Lawnmower. And you can shave your gonads or whatever you want to do there with it. It works very well. You got a light on here. The light's up. See it? Check it out. But you can go to manscaped.com. Use promo code RVD. You get 20% off. And that's not just on this. That's not just on the Lawnmower 5.0. You can get the Beard Hedger, which is great. You can get the Dome Shaver, which is new. I want to get that. But you can use it on any product. The Weed Whacker, which is for the nose. I love doing that stuff. So you can go to manscaped.com, use promo code RVD, get 20% off. And hey, if you want to get a little tuned in, you can use Get Blitzed. Use promo code RVD. You get 15% off. It's Get Blitzed Lit A Nano Infused THC Syrup. It is 100% legal in all 50 states, so you don't got to worry about anything like that. It's Delta 9. Scan that QR code if you're watching, or go to get-blitz.com and use promo code RVD. You get 15% off. I have the blue raspberry in my cabinet. It is very effective, and it hits you very quickly. So if you're looking for something like that, boom, do it. Shout out to Mickey Ray and Courtney for all the help there, and we appreciate their patronage. And hey, go to try some Blue Chew too. You can go to bluechew.com, use promo code RVD, and you get your first Blue Chew free. All you do is pay $5 shipping. That's it. So go and do that too. We thank all our sponsors. Hey, we hope to get some more too. So spread the word, guys. Give us 5 stars wherever you see us, and be sure to like the videos and all that stuff. Get the word out about this show. Let's see. Here's another good question, Rob. Jackson Little, thanks for the $5. As a kid, you were one of my favorite wrestlers. Oh, this wasn't a question. Never mind. As a kid, you were one of my favorite wrestlers. Thanks for everything, Rob. So he just wanted to shout you out.
Appreciate that. Right up. Yeah.
Here's a.
I hope I still is. Mm.
Of course.
Katie did an appearance here in Las Vegas at the Tuscany Center or whatever the hell they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chris Masters was there, and Greg Valentine, and Devon, and Maria Kanellis, and I'm trying to think of everyone that she said that she said hi to. But I also saw the poster. But
There was a lot of people.
yeah, there was a lot of people there. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of wrestlers there. But anyway, she went by a store, one of the vendors there, Katie.
Yep.
Let me say who she is. And this guy was like really, really cool. And he told her, boom, here's this. Boom, here's this. Pick a hand. I'll give you one for free. And she texted me and said, hey, dude said I can pick one for free. Which one should I get? And I said, that one. So, boom, look what I got. Hey.
Look at that. Yeah.
Finally.
Wow.
In case you don't know, they don't always send them to me, you know.
That's weird.
It is weird. And some they usually do, but it has been like really late. And I don't know if they're not going to send me this one or not. Usually it's Ringside Products that I'll hit up on Instagram. And I don't even know like if they all go through them or if only some of them are Ringside Products. And I really don't know, but they're kind of my go-to. And they were saying that WWE should send this to me like in August. Anyway, I just got it. And now there is, of course, one newer figure that I saw is getting released now or soon. I saw I feel like I signed it at the SmackDown building. Something that had the package.
Oh, here I might have the graphic here, Rob. Is it this one? Boom.
Yes, sir. That's the yeah. But for some reason, it's in a group of 4, and I don't know why, but yep, that is definitely it. And then if you don't see the group of 4. They might not be released that way. I kind of got the impression all 4 were going to be like in one box from whatever it was that I saw.
I think they're separate, Rob. I think they the series is
Just
called
a set.
Yeah, it's just the set of them all together. Because the series is called Defining Moments.
Yeah.
So that's I remember seeing an early prototype of that at WrestleMania when I was there.
Right. Yeah.
And
but yeah, I'm stoked for the Mr. Monday Night.
I gotta get me one of those too.
Yeah. But hopefully I'll get some. Maybe I won't. And wait, what else? Oh, and then there's the re-released figure that was a Walmart exclusive years ago that's now being re-released by who? Do you know?
It would be by Mattel, right?
Would they all be by Mattel?
Yeah, they're all made by Mattel. So
then how come some are Ringside Products?
So Ringside Collectibles, they do. I think they do exclusive.
Yeah, Ringside Products with boxing. That's where I used to get my boots from.
Oh,
yeah. Right.
Ringside Collectibles is the wrestling figures.
And so, okay, so they don't have anything to do with making the figures.
They do. I think they have a relationship with both AEW and WWE because they do have Ringside. They have exclusive figures that they just sell on that website. So maybe that's an exclusive one then. I didn't even know that. If that's the case, that's cool though. Is it? Wait. Okay, no, it doesn't say. WrestlingFigures.com, guys.
Yeah, I thought this was supposed to be a Walmart exclusive.
That's a Walmart exclusive. I know that one. That's a Walmart exclusive.
Okay. Well, cool. I need the November '97 Tommy Dreamer match one that you just showed, and then also it'd be cool to get the re-released one. It's got different packaging in it, you know. But
is that the one with the tiger stripes, or is this a different one?
I think if I'm not mistaken, I have a shirt on. Maybe the ECW shirt.
You're right. Oh, because that's a basic figure. I think. I don't think that's an elite one. So that would be So okay, that is a re-release. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's cool. Rebuy it.
Yeah.
Rebuy it, guys. RVD, you'll get repaid.
Repaid. That's it. Make it happen, guys. Come on. Let's see. I want to make sure I cover all the ones.
75 cents I ever earned.
Best. Heck yeah. Reeling in the dough there. Let's see here. I want to make sure. Okay, here's a good one. Phil DeCesar. I'm going to go with that. Phil DeCesar. Hey, Rob, have you ever practiced Wim Hall of Fame breathing exercises, Wim Hof breathing exercise, or anything similar? Enjoyed your ECW WWE matches throughout Massachusetts and New Hampshire. Thanks, man. You were aware what he means by that, Rob?
I'm not really sure what Will Hof breathing is, Phil, but I appreciate the question. And I definitely did do and still do breathing exercises. I've talked about this before, actually, but you know, what haven't I talked about? But like where to start. So a lot of my training I just did on my own, you know, like I did the martial arts training with the different dojos, the gymnastics training I did all myself. I never had a coach or trainer. You know, a lot of people ask me about stretching, like, hey, do you do DDP yoga? Sometimes I do it like with him, but I always have like my own thing, and I have my own stretch routine that I picked up over the years, and it's something that I've always been important to me. I started doing breathing exercises way back in 6th grade when a teacher named Mr. Morris, who was a bit of a jackass, but he told this story about how you can stretch your lungs out and then you can hold more air and then hold your breath longer. And I was really into swimming. That's what I did all summer. I was always in a swimming pool, at least from 8 years old on. When my parents went to the campground, I played in the pool. You saw me jump off the diving board on the documentary. And that was really cool how they made it look like I was jumping on Bam Bam with the same guy.
You turned into it?
That was really cool. He was talking about some hillbillies that he said lived way up in the mountains. And he was saying that because the oxygen is so thick there, the air's so thick, that there's not as much oxygen when you breathe in. And he was saying because of that, their bodies adapt to it. And he said those guys can hold their breath for 2 or 3 minutes. And I just remember like being, whoa, that is so cool. And he was saying that they have contests so you can hold their breath the longest. And he said those guys just from living up there, which is true because Justin McCauley and all the MMA guys would go to Big Bear up on the mountain and have at a place there they would train for UFC. And so this appeared to be true. It did. But anyway, not only that, but he taught us an exercise that he said that they do when they're having these contests. And what I had to do was pretty simple. You breathe in and you take one deepest breath you've ever taken in. Like you even like, I switch my posture around sometimes because my weight might be causing my ribs to limit how expanded my lungs can get sometimes, you know. So sometimes it even takes like, you know, whatever it takes. But I breathe in really deep as much as I can, and I usually hold it for a little bit second, you know. But you don't really have to. But I like to. But you let it out slow as you can, you know, like real slow. And you do that 3 times, and what you're doing is you're stretching your lungs out. It's much like. This is the way that I like to compare it. I've always thought this was a good way. You grab a balloon, a brand new balloon, and it's stiff. Like it stretches a little, but it's never been stretched before, so it doesn't really give that much, right? Yeah. But after you go, and you blow it, and then, you know, and there's resistance, but once you get that in, if you let all the air out, and then you blow it up again, guess what? Now it's stretched out, and that's like your alveoli that are your sacs that hold the oxygen inside of your lungs. So I always do that before I wrestle or before I want to hold my breath real long. Or once in a while, I just do it just to try to get a relief of congestion from gravity that I just feel overall on me. Sometimes sometimes that'll give me a break from that. This must have been, I don't know, one time it could have been any time, sometime in the last 15 years or so, 10 years. but I wasn't in WWE, but I was walking down the hallway or whatever. Could have been Hall of Fame. It could have been one of those times that I appeared there for whatever reason, but I know I wasn't part of their crew. I was gone, and I walked by Randy Orton, and I saw him doing that, and he was going, you know, and I was watching, and I said, hey, I do that. I said, nobody else does that but me. He goes, I know, you taught me to do it.
How about that?
Yeah.
Man. How long can you hold your breath for, Rob?
I don't know. It used to be like a minute and a half.
Nice.
Yeah, but it's been forever since I've had the desire to test myself on that. But you know, sometimes being underwater or something, it's fun you got to hold it to stay underwater. One thing I used to do that was really stupid when I was a kid. Tell me if you do this or anybody in the chat room. We used to breathe in and out like that, but we would do it fast. Maybe like 10 times or so. And then at first it would be a big breath, and we'd like put our backs against the wall, and our partner in crime would press on the chest, and you just hold your breath. And then when it comes out, it's like, and you just fall like a sack to the ground. I saw my friend do it, and I was like, no way, you guys are acting. And they said, no, we're not, I swear to God, man, because he didn't know where he was or whatever. Come on, dude. I didn't believe it at all. So they told me to do it, and I held my breath, and then they were pressing against my chest, and they're saying, do you feel it? Do you feel it? And I said, I shook my head no, and they said, oh, maybe it isn't going to work on him. As soon as they let go, I just fucking, bam, I felt like right beside the beanbag they had set up, and hit my head on the floor. So stupid and so dangerous, but we did that for a long time. Like, we got so good at it, we could do it to ourselves by like laying flat I could lay back on my back on the cement, like I'm laying out by the pool, right? Yeah. It's like doing a nitrous oxide hit, if you know what that's like. Yeah. When you after a nitrous oxide hit, when your brain's kind of like, it feels like it rebooted. That's a similar feeling. And anyway, I can do that by doing the breathing and then doing like half a sit up, and just holding it, and you feel all the pressure and you flex, and then when you go down, when you let it out, it like reboots your brain, and it's so stupid. Is anybody else?
Well, the funny thing is, Rob, the guy who asked the question about breathing, he's like, yes, we would pass out.
Okay, good.
He said our chest against the desk in school.
Yeah.
He said, I had to walk my friend to the nurse's office after he fell off his desk.
Oh my God, dude, we would do so stupid. We would do it in the pool, and then drag each other's body around while you're waking up, and on the swing set, on the slide, doing it on the slide, and then push my friend down. It was so stupid.
I never heard of this.
Oh my God, yeah, yeah. It's a thing, man. Like I say, it's just nitrous oxide is the best way to compare it. Which as soon as I did the nitrous oxide, it went. It was like a little CO2 cartridge or something. I remember first time I remember doing it. It was oh no, I remember them being around when I was a kid though. But I don't know. I just remember when there was like a Fish concert and all these Fish fans at an ECW show at the Philly Travel Lodge, and they were going around with a full ass fucking tank on wheels. But they took to their room and fill up balloons, and they go. We were taking out the balloons, and then when you let it out, your head scrambles, and you're just like,
oh my God!
Oh, not fall or anything, but I'm sure some people do. But even just a little, it's just like a little thing where it's like a reboot. You're like, oh my God! Like all of a sudden you feel like, how much time has passed? It's not something I would recommend. It's stupid, but.
Doesn't sound like it's beneficial.
I'm the only stupid one, guys, in the comments.
No. The guy who asked the question is one of the.
Right, you told me. Is it just me?
Is it just I'm sure there's other people.
Me and Phil, Paul.
You and Phil D. Cesar. Yep. I want to see if there's somebody else that did that too, though. I'm not seeing it yet. I'm sure somebody's done it.
We were always daring each other, like, do it in front of our parents or whatever, without them knowing, like when they're in the room. Stupid.
How did I never hear that? I've never heard of that, Rob.
Maybe it was a Midwest thing.
Maybe it was. Maybe it was a Michigan thing.
television or floaters or sometimes spinning. I think probably that was depending on where on my brain I was getting hit.
Yeah.
I mean, what else could it be? But I don't know that for sure. But like a lot of times I would, like when I bump, I would knock myself silly just from hitting the back of my head on the mat. Sometimes I blame my ponytail. Don't know if that was a factor or not, but I've done that more than anything. And I used to wonder, like a chair shot in the front, a headshot, like that in the back, or, getting thrown into the corner post head on. I wonder if that's what's causing all the different symptoms. But I was never able to, or never even thought about studying and relating the different symptoms to the different pieces of action. I wish I would have, because it makes sense, in the front lobe, that's obviously that's in charge of a lot different stuff than say like the rest of your brain. But I do have like I said, almost a lot of my peers, at least that are my generation or older, a lot of them tell me that they have at least some kind of symptoms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could
A
imagine.
lot of them mistakenly think it's CTE because they don't understand what CTE is. A lot of them, say they complain of just headaches. Sometimes, just light sensitive is another thing that happens, and there's all these weird different symptoms that all go back. But yeah, most of the guys my age or older tell me that they're sure of it, that they have some concussion damage. And, most of them were probably in that lawsuit when they all got behind like one big case and tried to sue for it. I definitely owe everything that happened to me on me. Everything was my fault. And I never reported when something did happen. That's something that, like, now, we were talking before about how, like, the show is changing more to a production where the fans are there to have fun. They know their cues. They're there for you, and it's all, I think, quicker I think than soaking up all of the energy, maybe, but it seems to be more of everything that in that way that moves the story forward. I think part of that new world is reporting more when you're hurt. Why not? The day of if I can still work, then I'm not hurt. I can still go the next day, and the day of having to prove that you're tough, or even, I mean, we did it for personal reasons too, because we did want to keep working. We want to
Sure,
keep making,
yeah.
But I think that is more fading out for more of a professional environment, which would include not only maybe less of a rough schedule, but also taking care of injuries and having the newest education and information on it. So that's all I think part of, so if you or someone that is suffering from concussion symptoms, these guys can get you help. They can hook you up with a doctor. They can put you with support groups. They can answer some questions, but you go to a CLF something.org. It's not, is it helpline?
CLF. Let me take
a look. I think it's helpline. Damn it.
CLF. Hold on. I think you're right, Rob. Here you go. Go to concussionfoundation.org, and they will show you. You can contact the CLF helpline, which I'm trying to see if there's a certain phone number here.
I think CLFhotline.org was also the thing that I said on my videos that they,
Okay.
but either way, like that was very frustrating for me too, was when I had the double vision. It threw me so far off my game. Everything was way harder, and I kept thinking, I'm sure it's going to go away. And it just, man, it's certain patterns, checker patterns or something, would like really make everything worse. I couldn't see the depth of anything or judge, and it was like trying to find out who to go to. You know, like who do I go see? What doctors? And you know, I don't know if I mentioned this here last week or not. I said it somewhere, so excuse me if I'm repeating myself. But I went to one doctor, an eye doctor, an eye doctor, the kind you get glasses from, in Redondo Beach, and he told me that they were crazy. There was nothing wrong with my brain. I just needed a new prescription.
Oh yeah, I think you said that on here.
It was I got so much contradicting information.
Wow.
That made it extra really rough because it was like no help, but now there is.
Yeah, always feel free to get a second opinion, guys, and then yeah, it's nice. I mean, it's not nice that people have it, but it's nice that you can have somebody too, maybe going through the same symptoms that you are, and that it can help you out and kind of give you a different perspective on how to think about that too. If they're having like Rob uses the example of double vision, so maybe somebody else has double vision and can kind of relate to what you're going through too.
Yeah, the exercises were really cool, and they were always progressive, you know, just like any good therapist does, always making it each week a little bit more challenging. And man, I would say, but is it the muscles in my eye, or is it in my brain, like the wiring? And the neurologist would say it's all the same thing.
Yeah. Right. Jeez. Good stuff. We'll do a couple more questions, and we'll close it on out, I guess. Maddie has a good joke. Why should you knock on the fridge? Because there could be a salad dressing.
There could be a salad. Okay. That one I had to repeat to myself.
It took me a second when I first read it, too. Wait a second. All right.
Nice. Yeah.
Nice, Maddie. Nice. Hey, Rob. John asks, what are your thoughts on Dustin Rhodes?
Dustin was one of the coolest dudes that I saw Friday. You know, I've always, I mean,
you mean Cody? Do you mean
Oh,
Cody?
yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
That's okay. I forgot to ask you about Cody. Go talk about Cody first.
He was just super cool. Really cool, you know, and me and Katie for a while hung out in front of his bus because in the garage, he had like some lawn chair, not really lawn chairs, but like fold out, chairs that you would have on the lawn or whatever.
Yeah.
Sitting in front of his bus, just like he was camping, but it was in the garage. And me and Katie hung out there for a while, and you know, he came by a few times, and he was just like super cool, you know, and even gave us a bottle of vodka, which I don't know if that's his vodka. Do you know?
It is. Wheatley.
He gave us a wrapped up bottle of vodka, and unfortunately, we're going straight to the airport. So, you know, but
you had to down it.
He was just really cool. Anyway, Dustin is super cool too. You know, like I've never had any reason to not like eat either of those. Like, you know, Goldie, he's Goldie to me, you know. He used to enjoy making everybody laugh too, you know. And I remember one time when we were in Europe, and in the morning we all had like a 9 o'clock call time or something to get on the bus, and people that are already on the bus are waiting for other people to come down and hand the guy their bags that'll put him underneath and then come up the stairs to get on the bus. And Dustin kept doing this thing. And he would also do it with people walking by that weren't wrestlers. That was funny too, just people that if they happened to be pedestrians. But he would be at the top of the steps, and when somebody was coming, he would take his bottle of water and then put it in his mouth, and he'd go out there, and like somebody would be walking, and he'd like act like he was sick and like he's gonna throw up like right in front of him. And you know, they'd be trying to go around him, and he would like go that way, and then he'd go. He would spit the water up, and people would be like, "Oh!" They'd be freaking out. And it was just entertaining everybody on the bus. And when I came down, I no-sold it. And I came down, and he spit, and I just kept on walking, and no-sold, got on the bus. And then I remember that Sean Stasiak said that when I went by, somebody just spoke for me and just said that. I went, cool. Like I was, my reaction was just looking at it, cool. You know, I can't remember who Sean said that, but maybe he said it. But anyway, yeah, I remember him singing on the airplane ride from hell when he was singing to his soon-to-be ex, possibly ex. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was just the boys. I mean, it sounds weird. They would get on. It was weird, but it wasn't like it was a public airplane, and he was like asking to have her back. But it was awkward in that way, though, even on our private airplane, because he was singing about wanting her back and missing her, and I think she was maybe with another dude. So that was weird.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know all the details with that, but.
I thought though, like, ouch! Like this, he got some pain in his heart.
Yeah, that's a tough thing. That's a tough thing, especially if you're going through a lot of stuff and everything, you know. But both those guys are great. Like,
but also he didn't mind being silly and didn't mind, you know, putting himself on the spot. So it's not, you know, I don't think his intentions were anything more than being entertaining when he did that. You know.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Good. I mean, being a shoot entertaining.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, for sure. No,
and he wanted to entertain her, maybe. You know,
maybe that too. Yeah. But no, I got to see Cody at SummerSlam, and he was doing they had like a little kind of like charity event that people were helping out with, and then part of the thing, people would buy tickets to like help pack food and stuff like that. But then they get to meet the wrestlers. That was like the perk of doing it. And then Cody came by, and he was just being a fly on the wall and watching him interact with the fans and take pictures. He took time with everybody. He was so considerate of everyone and just really good in that role as like a good ambassador for the company right now. So he's doing a good job.
One more thing I'll say about the vibe, and it's because Cody definitely, you know, was part of that vibe. In general, you know, I hung out in the catering quite a bit, saw a lot of the wrestlers and shit. And in general, the boys don't look so tired anymore. You know, they look legitimately happy to be there, happy to be part of something, having fun. And, you know, it used to be a different kind of vibe of a long, drawn out day of tired people trying to get to, you know, to the end of the day. And it didn't ring true to that so much this time. And, you know, I've heard a lot of people tell me like, oh, you just got to see how it's changed. But I got to say, they wasn't lying.
It wasn't lying. Yeah, you can tell by a lot of the faces of people, like the wrestlers that are there. They seem like they're always happy to be there, and they always make day. It's like it's a good. You feel that energy, Rob. You definitely feel it. I think even as a fan. So, good stuff. Well, I'll ask this too. In comparison to AEW, was there stuff that you did like about AEW that they did differently than what WWE did, or how is that balance of it? Because you said the locker room is pretty laid back there too, for the most part.
You asked, what is the question? You said what now?
how's the vibe in comparison with AEW? Still has a good vibe, right? It's just kind of different. Is that kind of how you were getting? Because you touched upon that earlier. I just wanted to follow up with it, like the vibe of AEW in comparison.
I would say that both dressing rooms had, and not just the dressing rooms, but, you know, that's using that term to describe all of the players.
Yeah.
But I would say that overall, it seemed to me like more of a happy and having fun vibe in both places, as opposed to, like I was saying, the tired, long, drawn out days. You know, and maybe, you know, that's maybe and probably, you know, it might be a reflection of the schedule. I really don't know how they've changed, if they have yet, or if they're going to, or what the deal is. But I remember, you know, by the time we were at TV, we'd already flown somewhere Monday from home. Friday from home, and landed somewhere, rented a car, maybe got a hotel or maybe straight to the arena and then back to the airport to turn your car in to fly again Saturday, you know what I mean? And then boom, come back. Maybe you drive, otherwise you fly again Sunday. And then same thing, by the time Monday night TV comes around and you got to be in the building at noon or 1, boom, we would if you're on the East Coast, but we would come into Monday Night Raw, and man, a lot of us, we were already like so tired because it could have been hundreds of miles of driving. Flying always wears me out. And anyway, a lot of that would lead into the image that you're putting out there on Monday Night TV. Maybe you had a long Sunday pay-per-view too, you know, and then Tuesday SmackDown. So that's something with wrestling, though. You know, you get warmed up. Like I've always said, you know, I haven't had a run in years where I've had a chance to warm up. They're always just one-offs. But when you warm up, you do get more used to the ring. But also, you know, those the house shows, you usually don't have to be there till 5 or something like that, as opposed to noon or 1. So those days aren't as long. And what else was I going to say? Boom, house shows and then TV. Oh, I was just going to say, you know, All Japan was the same way because the big show, not Paul White, the biggest show of the whole tour was always at the Budokan in Tokyo. And it was always the last day of the run. And I used to wonder, you know, like why when we're banged up a little bit after a few weeks, you know, we're all sore here and there, you know, but at the same time, we were definitely the most in our groove because we were working consistently and into it. So I could see like both sides of it, but that's kind of always been like something with wrestling, at least as far as my career goes.
Yeah. No, it's such a dynamic has changed. It's cool to see that it is an overall positive vibe across both major companies. Hear good things about TNA right now too, so that's really good to hear. So, yeah. Well, what's the
Morse opening up a Maple Leaf Wrestling something?
Yeah, that's right. I saw that too. Mm-hmm. Maybe a little travel up north. Hey.
Don't you know? You know, it's cool. More places for the boys to work.
Absolutely. Can't beat that.
And for the fans.
And for the fans, too. You know? All right. I guess that'll do it, Rob. Did you want to do RVDology or?
Yeah, you know what? I will talk about a question. We were going to start answering questions from my YouTube page, which I still am, but right now we got demonetized and trying to figure that out. And so like if YouTube Chris isn't posting stuff, I don't know if I care or not. I mean, it's cool to keep it up, but at the same time, dealing with some BS. Anyway, I had 2 questions. Do I know what the other one was? No, I guess it doesn't really matter because I don't want to talk about both of them right now. But but one of the questions, and I don't have it pulled right now, so I can't tell you who it was or whatever. But I think that this is a good segue into leaving you with a little bit of perspective. So the YouTube comment, it was in response to the video of me and a Mr. Scott Norton, which has gotten reposted for cheap ratings recently by my by my YouTube partners. Anyway, the comment to this said something like, it said, I've heard something about heard a lot of stories about almost fights, but not many actual fights. And I was like a thought or something. Mm-hmm. And the way I took that, which I'm not sure exactly, but the way I took that was for the intention behind it was like, RVD can bark, but can he bite? That's the way that's the way that I took it. And either way, even if he didn't mean that, which I feel like he did, you know, I don't remember exactly the way it was worded, but that's the way that I took it. But either way, I just thought that was worth talking about because 1, it made me laugh, but 2, it also made me realize like you know, having the outlet that I have, being professional wrestling, and being able to entertain you by being that character, which is an extension of me. When I'm working, dude, I need your credibility or your beliefs in me. I need you to see me with credibility is what I'm trying to say. As long as you believe that I have a chance that I could beat One Man Gang or Bam Bam Bigelow or Tommy Dreamer or whatever, then boom, I got your support, and that's important in the ring. Outside of the ring, I was thinking, like, why would I care, like, really, if somebody thinks I can fight or not? And that's what I wanted to talk about, because it's something to think about, you know? One, there's your ego. I mean, nobody wants to be a pussy or be thought of. And you do think of it in a negative way if someone says, he's a wimp. But the reason that I think it's seen as negative is because fighting is part of nature. You know, my dogs wrestle each other all day. Kangaroos fight out in the wild, you know, and all animals do. It's instinctive. It's something. So when somebody is saying, dude, that guy can't fight, they're saying it as an insult. But at the same time, unless you are promoting your brand, why would you care? Unless you're going to attack me, in which case then I want you to think I'm a great fighter and not attack me, because I don't want to be attacked, and I don't even want to fight unless I'm getting paid for it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So when you think about it, it's really, I think, just the ego that cares about your image. Even girls, if you say, like, you weren't scared, like, that she was going to kick your ass. What? Her? I would kick her ass. I would, even girls. So it's not just a testosterone thing. It's something. It's something protective, just like how we all want to claim that we're right, and there's no way we could be wrong, even if we are wrong. That thing that, or even if somebody says anything that's less than what we want to hear about ourselves, like if they say, dude, you're short. What? I'm not short. How tall are you? Like that defensive thing that comes out and says, boom, don't let them say that. Don't let them think about you in a less than perfect image the way that you want them to see you. And when you think about it that way, it all seems like kind of unnecessary. So I was thinking about it, and sure, like growing up, it's important. And people that fight a lot or whatever, a lot of them care about their reputation. But you know what that is? You're building your reputation. What you're really doing in the professional world is you're pushing your brand. It's the same exact thing. Now, with my brand, I make money. When it comes down to my personal self, when I'm not wrestling, if we're just talking about RVD on a day off, Robert Zakowski on a day off, and then you're and you want to question, you know, like whether the guy, meaning me, would get his ass beat, or if he can fight, or anything like that. One, I have no control over what other people think of me anyway, and you really don't. But two, I wouldn't care, because my social reputation isn't as important as my brand. They're the same thing, except for brand, I make money. Reputation, nothing. What, get more challenges coming your way? That's what used to happen to the tough guys I remember in Battle Creek, like Troy Nesbitt and what was that other dude from Beetle Lake? Anyway, these guys were always fighting. And no, I certainly don't want to be known as one of those. That's a dangerous way to live as an adult, for sure. And, you know, people like that got to get locked up. You can't have people out on the street that are swinging every time they get a chance, left and right. And that's true, you know, when it comes to deciding how you're going to behave, how you're going to respond when your ego is challenged. Like you grow up here, and don't let anybody disrespect you or your family or your mama. Don't ever say anything bad about the dead. Don't ever let anybody ever, there's never a reason to put your hands on a woman. You get told all this stuff. And as I always say, when you're an adult, you have to reprogram yourself. You have to revisit these areas with the values that you're going to carry as an adult, for the rest of your life. They're always developing because your perspective changes, and that's always going to happen. That's a good thing, and it's necessary for balance. But reprogramming is important. I don't believe in absolutes. I can't say there's never a time for this, never a time for that. I can always come up with an exception if the conversation arises. But yeah, I just wanted to have the chance to talk about this from my perspective, to give you, the listeners, a chance to check yourselves. Some guys, like if they're say they're really small, they're little, and they know they would never fight. They're like, dude, I'm not a fighter, dude. Those are so few, at least in my world, over people that want everyone to think. And it's what road rage is, when people, boom, get in a crash and they come out screaming and shit, and like, what? Man, you better get in your car. I'm going to kick your ass. Oh, you ain't going to kick my ass. You better not put your hands on me. That's what I know. Everybody knows at that point that they're the best fighter, but really they want the other person to know, because they're screaming at them, telling them how tough they are. And really, I don't think you need to do that if you're tough. If you get in a situation, you can handle yourself, then good. Good luck to you. But I always like to think about how much is directed from the ego, and if that's a good thing or not. When decisions are made from any emotion, I don't think it's a good thing. Any kind of emotion, in particular, when it replaces logic. If you can use them both, great. But that's often not the case, because they often don't like to be in the same room together, emotion and logic. Dude, your ego, it drives us, and it takes like a mental effort to look at the ego and really question, like, what is this driving force that makes me do this, that makes me stand up and say, well, I know I'm not the ugliest one in the room. No way. There's got to be someone uglier than me here. Like whatever it is, like we're afraid to be less than our ego thinks of ourselves. Think about that. And that's what I'm going to leave you with.
Great one, Rob. Great one. Yeah, I like that Scott Norton clip, because it's funny. It's a funny clip, but on top of it, it does show you how you de-escalated the situation, basically. Like, Scott flipped up his sunglasses, and you kept him on, and you were just like, you were straightforward with him about all that stuff.
Like, dude, Scott, I don't know what you're talking about. You sound crazy right now. Yeah, the story will always say the exact same as many times as I tell it. And, I don't want to be known for someone that goes around fighting a lot. So I hope that, and I shouldn't be, because I don't. But I don't think that's a good thing necessarily, unless that's what you're looking for. But thank God, we have outlets for it, because it's dangerous to be out in these streets and be acting that way.
That's right. Hit a boxing bag or something, guys.
Something, yeah.
Something.
You get sued, then you go to jail, and then you start building up a record.
Right.
And really, a lot of it is just anger taking over. And the reason you're angry is because your ego's hurt. This person doesn't know that you could kill him.
That's right.
Who cares?
Who cares?
This is one of those things that the more you can really not give a fuck, I think the better off that you'll be. There's a lot of things like that. And I've talked about the book, The Simple Art, I think it's called, of
not giving a fuck.
It's not simple. What's the adjective?
I think it's just the art of not giving a fuck, or maybe I'm wrong.
Anyway, but
fuck.
There's an adjective in there. The subtle art of not giving a fuck.
Yes, that's what I think you're right. Yeah. Yes, you're right.
Mark Kerr, the wrestler. No, Mark somebody. But anyway,
Mark Manson.
Mark Manson, thank you. I always recommend that if you haven't heard of it. There's even an audiobook on YouTube, and he just talks about it. And I think he makes a lot of sense. I agree with a lot of what he says, and a lot of stuff that we let drive us crazy really, it doesn't matter nearly as much as we make it out to be. And in martial arts, we learn perspective by panning out, you know, and picturing through meditating ourselves from a bird's eye view that just kept getting higher and higher until we're looking at the whole planet and thinking, how important are my problems looking at this whole thing, you know, let alone even like just the city. But anyway, those are some beliefs that I've, you know, pretty much held on to like since I can remember. So they're pretty sturdy, but the ego always gets out of control. You always got to check yourself.
Oh, yeah,
you have to. Nobody's a perfect master of their ego, or else nothing would insult them. Nothing that shouldn't matter to them and their goal and their agenda, which for a lot of people is to get over in society, you know. And if I didn't have a profession where I could differentiate and turn it on and turn it off, I believe I'd be subject to the same thing.
Yeah, that's it. You know, yeah, always good to check your ego. It always is. You always be considerate. Is my ego kicking in? Is that what's going on? I got to be cognizant of that. I know that much. So, hey, we all do. We learned a lot today. Breathing, learned about ego, a lot of good stuff. Lots of good stuff. Cool, guys. Well, if you want some more RVD stuff, be sure to go to RVD.RobVanDam.com. You can get his rolling papers. Boom. Look at that. Scoop up some of them. You can also go to RVD 420 and get his glass, which they got some cool stuff there. Boom. 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 And then more too. So go to RVD 420 there. Greek Glass, based out of Pittsburgh. Shout out to those guys. So be sure to give them a little help. And hey, if you want a little bit of merchandise, go to OneTrueSport.com and look at that. You can get some cool RVD merch there. Somebody just bought that RVD one in the middle right there. So get the word out about that. Go to OneTrueSport.com and scoop up your RVD shirt, and we all benefit from it because a lot of the profit will go to the wrestlers themselves. So. Cool stuff, guys.
Yeah, cool stuff.
And see Rob this week, Iowa.
No.
Next week.
Idaho, not Iowa, right?
No, it's Iowa.
Oh,
Iowa.
I said it wrong. Des Moines, Iowa.
Des Moines, Iowa.
Okay.
Idaho.
Same thing.
Same thing. Starts with an I.
Yeah. See you on the 22nd of September.
Yes. Thanks, everybody, for chiming in, too, with your questions. And appreciate everybody, their patronage and hanging out and just having a good time. So, guys.
All right. Before we go, did you see the plastic bag on the head?
Yes. Oh, the Daniel Bryan thing? The Bryan Danielson thing? Yes.
Yeah. Is that what it was? Was Moxley doing it to Bryan Danielson?
Yes, he was. Boom. So that was the end of the pay-per-view. Yeah. That was okay. Yeah, let's get your thoughts real quick on that, Rob. What did you think of that?
Well, I thought that you were probably going to bring it up and that you were going to ask if that was too much, in which case I was going to say, well, let's look at that question. Too much for what? Because I am seeing wrestling making all these changes, and so it is what it is. You know, is it too much for my preference? Maybe, you know, is it going maybe a little too far in the respect that we don't want kids playing with plastic bags? It says right on the bag, this shit is not to be used as a toy. You know, I guess John Moxley didn't read that. And, you know, it's a bit far and extreme. And if you look at it that way, as far as that kids could take after it, and you know, did they kill him? But like I said, is it too far for what they're doing? Well, obviously not. So you know, what I'm seeing is wrestling really like being about different things than it used to be, and so I'm curious. You know, and I'm going to be paying attention and studying to exactly how it's evolving at this stage, you know, from the different companies, because I'm seeing it become something. And as far as that with AEW, is it going to be more about like a live action movie that you're watching, witnessing in that venue. I don't know. So definitely, I just thought it was worth talking about, and I think it's I think it's pretty far. I wouldn't want a plastic bag on my head. I know that, but again, is it too far for what they're doing? No, and they're driving us and the business in a certain direction that they are doing. So I look at it that way.
Yeah, because I would think when they did the plastic bag spot, they did that years ago with Terry Funk and Ric Flair way back in the day. Yeah, and that caught a lot of. I know they got a lot of ire back then about it, and now, but now, yeah, it's causing a lot of people people were freaked out about it. Everything. I was kind of like, yeah, I wouldn't want a plastic bag on my head. That's always like kind of whatever. But it's also like, I don't know. It's like they're pushing the envelope a little bit and trying to make it stand out, and that sure stood out. So does it help?
And the burning of the house, is kind of like also something in that direction, So
yeah.
we're they're gonna show us what they're doing as they're doing it. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to be a critic and say, no, they shouldn't be doing that. But would I do that? Or like I said, do I want that done to me? No. And I didn't see the burning of the house. I've just heard about it. And
maybe I enjoyed that.
Maybe you told me last week.
I did. I told you last week. I enjoyed it.
Well, so again, is that going to be more about like you're watching like a drama? And I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what they decide to do. They're edging up on a TV deal here. It seems pretty promising that they're going to get one with Turner again. And so the boat, what's the thing? The boat raises all tides. Can you say it again, Rob?
Well, the opposite. High tide raises all boats.
I love that quote. I want to love that quote.
Yeah, and so the wrestling's business is good now, and that's why we got millions and millions of people watching this podcast right now on the peripherals. Here we are hanging out. RVD show. One of a kind.
One of a kind.
All right, cool. I just want to bring that up, but let's go ahead and finish the see you later bye byes.
Okay. Okay. Shoot. Bye.
See you. Okay. Bye. See you.
Bye. See you.